Welcome to How to Decode Matrix Script 101, Part 7. So far, we have covered in parts 1 through 6 from the start why this particular scripting is important, how to recognize script, what is script in the first place, what are sigils, numbers, letters, being all frequency and light, being angles and degrees of light, and we covered the square and compass. And then we went through what is gematria and the crux of the story, which are the two witnesses or the twin snakes. If you have not watched the previous series, I highly suggest you go back and rewatch everything so that you can have a full understanding of what we will be discussing here today. I have already given what the gematria ciphers are in regards to gematria being either Hebrew, English, or simple gematria, which is assigning numerical values to letters. And everything being about a numerical script, which I have also provided. And I also gave my own personal scripting, which is an alphabet that I created called the alphabet wager. It's not that I created it, I decoded it, okay? And basically this is giving you a 1-degree alphabet, and this will play directly into what I am teaching here today, which is the pig pen cipher key, okay? So I'm going to show you how to use this cipher, as well as go a little bit deeper into why this is important and what all of this means, okay? Now, the pig pen cipher is something that came to me back in 2021, and this was so long ago, and I saw the pig pen cipher come across my screen some way, took a screenshot, went to Google to kind of research what it was, and I'm like, okay, it's just some kind of secret language, which I've never seen before, and I wasn't entirely sure how to even apply it or use it. However, fast forward to 2024, last year, right before the election. I am a very powerful psychic channeler, and I was channeled up by none other than Mr. Andy Warhol, the artist. And Andy had quite a bunch of cryptic information to show me. And one of the things that he needed me to learn in order to show me all of this secret code was the Hui cipher, H-U-I. And he had to teach me pig pen in order for me to understand this. And it was clearly, after deciphering this particular HUI code, a clear indication that this particular pig pen cipher held so many secrets, okay? And I almost lost my account here on TikTok for exposing the secrets that came to me right before the election. And it was basically him channeling me up to show me that, hey, there's a script, okay? And everything is already pre-planned, okay? And I don't think that people like that too much, okay? They were not happy about that, so I did get a lot of account strikes during that time. And I wound up taking down this particular these particular episodes. They are, however, on my YouTube channel, which is available in the link in my bio. So without further ado, let's get into what is the pig pen cipher. Now, the pig pen cipher is basically an alphabet based on coordinates, okay? Now, as you can see from this chart, they are showing you that if you use the coordinates by which the lines that are in the middle, basically these lines right here, if you take these lines as coordinates, right, and you map out what the coordinates look like. Let's say you see something that has a line and a line and a J. Based on that, you can develop a secret phrase, okay? So the example that they have down here is badges for baseball. So it would read something like these different codes at the bottom here based on the coordinates of this cipher at the top. And it's like a secret language. Basically, if you saw this written out, you would not have any idea what is being said, but based on this cipher key, it's saying badges for baseball, right? However, I was told that that is not the end of this particular cipher, and that's not the reason, okay? Now, you could use this cipher for a secret coded language, but I mean, it's publicly available. How secret can it be? The key to it here is to take it a step further, as I was taught. You find the coordinates for the letter, okay, based on the shape of the alphabet, like I displayed in my alphabet cipher or my alphabet decode, okay, with the 1-degree square letters. You would take those 1-degree square letters and you would map out the coordinates to get the letters, okay? And once you have the actual letters that are mapped within the coordinates, you would take those letters and decipher their numbers. So if within the coordinates of H, you have the H right here, okay? And there are two H's. There's an H here and there's an H at the bottom, okay? And within this H coordinate, you have BE and HE, okay? Those are the two H's, okay? And you would take BE and HE and you would take those numbers to get the I guess you could say the gematria for those numbers, and that in and of itself will reveal the code, okay? And if you look at this as this being equal, because The alphabet is grouped by numbers 1 through 26. And like I said, with gematria, you are always adding the numbers together to get one of the base numbers, which is 0 through 9. So on this side, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I is the same as J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, because you're talking about K and B, which is 11 and 2. You're talking about E and N, which 14 is equal to 5, and H and Q, which 8 is equal to also 17. So these letters are the same as these letters, and the same goes for this. However, for the purpose of the secret language that they say it is, you would basically be delineating between words. So if you saw a word in public and you're like, okay, well, let me go ahead and secretly code that word, or there's a name that you want to have a secret code for, then you could use something like this to communicate a different language based on the fact that you have a J and an A and then you have a P. So it would be written out. However, when it comes to what I'm doing here and what I was taught, you are converting the shape of the letter with the coordinates of those letters that are within that cipher. And then you're taking that and you're coming up with the numerical value. So again, this side is the same as this side is the same as this side. That's just how the alphabet is grouped. Okay, and we can get a little bit deeper into that because I do have another codex in regards to these grouped letters and how they all work together to spell out another secret. Okay, but we won't get into that. Now, I got the Pigpen cipher down, and I determined that the letters were B-E for the B-E, H-E for the H, okay, in terms of the coordinates here. And then I determined that the U was in the B sector, okay, which is here, okay, that is the shape of a U. And then it's also the shape of an H, okay. And then you have here the D-E-E-F sector. And I got those numbers as well, which are 45 and 46, by taking all of these alphabets, B, E, H, E, B, and then D, E, E, F. To me, those numbers looked like they were getting ready to spell an H, okay? So I took the numbers as they are, 2 and 5, 8 and 5, 2 in the middle, and then 4 and 5, 45 and 56. And I mapped out this entire H by reducing each of the numbers on each side, right? Or kind of dividing the numbers up is how I got this cipher to work, okay? And it pretty much formed a full codex, and I did the math on either side, right? So as I did this math, and I'm like, okay, what does this even mean? Of course, the H looks like two towers with a line in between. So of course that takes us back to the two witnesses, the twin towers or the candlestick flames. So looking at that, I'm like, okay, well, what is this Hawaii? Well, it just hit me one day. Hawaii is like Hawaii, right? Or Hawaii 5-0, the show, right? So then I looked into the lead character within Hawaii 5-0, and his name is Jack Lord. He died at the age of 77. So I took his birthday and put it into cipher work, okay? Once I did his numerical birthday and broke down the dates, Gregorian calendar versus the ancient calendar, I then came up with the exact same numbers from the Hawaii cipher, okay? So this was confirmation to me that this is the Hawaii cipher, and I called it the Hawaii 5-0 cipher. And the numbers on the side, as you can see here, 774 and 66, match his birth date, 46677. I mean, perfectly, okay? The summation of his birthday is actually at the top, okay? And consequently, this is also my birthday, okay? So I went into this cipher and looked at how I could break down these numbers, and I actually saw that this little bridge or this line in between the two towers could be considered like a minus, like you're subtracting something, okay? So this is how I got my numbers, and I did the math for these on both sides. And if you take a look at this cipher, okay, and you just look at the numbers here, okay, there are so many synchronicities here. You have the number 47 and the number 45 touching. You have 9/16, which is the date that the diddler was arrested. Okay, you have 112 on here. There's so many. There's 2020 on here. That was the date of the COVID shutdown, etc. There are so many different dates that you can decipher from this cipher. And this takes me to the H. Okay, so let's get into that. And let's talk about the H being a representation of two towers. And as I explained before, it's the two witnesses or the twin towers or the two candlesticks or flames as depicted in Revelations 11, meaning that they are twin flame lovers. These are actually two people with one soul in separate bodies. Okay. They are twin flames, and that's what it means to have a twin flame. You're basically the masculine and feminine polarity split into two, okay? So when you talk about these two towers, or the H is the 8th letter, okay? And I will just plug in a few diagrams here to talk about the towers a little bit, because we all know about the towers and what happened to the towers. However, the goal was to take out or subtract these two, okay, out of the equation, because ultimately, as I explained in the previous video, the two witnesses are integral into the reset, okay? Shutting down the moon machine, birthing in the 13th bloodline via the two witnesses, and this woman giving birth to the man-child as depicted in Revelations 12, the woman clothed with the sun with the moon at her feet. We're talking about this particular woman, or one of the towers here, okay? And as you can see from these diagrams that I created, the attempt was to take her out of play. So you may ask yourself, like, okay, well, these television shows and everything, they match together. And I'm going to show you in another part of this series how to go about stringing along gematria code, and how we can use popular television, movies, etc. And we can connect all of these dots very cohesively. This is going to teach you how to read this script very fluidly. However, when it comes to these two individuals and them being the crux of the story, you have to think about everything in the world and every person that is connected to this particular, I guess you can call it a conspiracy, because it's conspiring against these two individuals. But you're talking about these events like the tower event basically being an orchestration to take these two people out of play within these groups, okay? Because they are the two most powerful beings on earth. And if you were to take these two people out of play, then, you know, everything could go along as planned, and everything would go the way that certain people want it to go. However, them being the two most powerful beings on the planet means they cannot be touched. So when they are in play in any of these secret groups, okay, when they are awakened, and basically she was taken out of play according to this particular chart that I created, or that was the goal basically. And by taking her out of play, or her not being awakened, it pretty much gave them free run of the board to kind of play the game however they wanted to play it. But you're talking about, you know, like the Jack Lord within Hawaii 5-0 and his death date and birth date factoring into a bigger cipher, or any actor on the world stage being a part of the pieces within the game, okay? So whenever these things are happening behind the scenes with these two, you're going to have to read the script according to what is actually happening and what they're saying according to the numerical values and what's going on, because this is a secret language, okay? So according to what I've been mapping out, it looks like she has awakened, okay, to herself. And all of the communication that has been going on has been, yo, she's awake, like, you know, we're in deep, you know what, okay? And basically he woke her up because, like I said, they are twin flames. They are one soul within two bodies. So by them being one soul within two bodies, that also means they are telepathic. These are two very powerful beings. They're not necessarily human like everyone else. So they have different abilities, okay? And he didn't need to talk to her, touch her, call her, or text her to wake her up. Basically, he taught her in secret, just like Jesus taught Mary Magdalene in the Gospel of Mary, okay? And the disciples were jealous. And he taught her everything about this secret language because he had access, okay? And he is technically, according to this chart, as I said, there was this alphabet wager, which is a money hunt for the grail, which is her, okay? And they were looking for this woman, and they were charting, not just her, they were charting a few, you know what I'm saying? But in terms of her, there can only be one her, because she is a part of his soul, he's a part of her soul, and together they are these two most powerful twin snake energies, right? So the hunt for the grail is about the alphabet wager, or the bets to find her, okay? And it looks like he woke her up, it looks like he found her, and it looks like they're gonna have to cut the check, okay? There's a checkmate, you're gonna have to cut the checkmate, okay?